Welcome to Figure Feedback. My name is Jeremy, and today I'm going to be checking out a new HeyGears product, but it is not a new printer. Instead, it is this. It is called the Ultra Glaze Clear G115 Gloss Glaze. Now, you don't have to worry about remembering that entire name. What you really need to know is that this is a clear gloss glaze product that's designed to be used with their clear transparent resins. And if we just take a look at the website here, you'll see that they are selling it in a 250-gram bottle for $89. The description of this reads that this gloss glaze is designed for 3D printed models, and it provides enhanced clarity and gloss while forming a protective layer. So in layman's terms, what this means is when you use this in conjunction with one of their clear resins, whether it's the PAF10 resin that's compatible with the RS and RS Turbo, or the PAT10 resin that's compatible with the Reflex 2, you apply this to your model and you will bring back that shiny, see-through, glossy appearance once you have cleaned and cured it, and you don't have to worry about post-processing in order to get those results if you don't want to, though you can still do some post-processing in order to maximize the effectiveness of this product. Now, I used two different resins when testing this gloss glaze. Now, the first one was for the PAF10 clear resin that is compatible with the RS and RS Turbo, and then the PAT10 resin that's compatible with the Reflex 2. And just like any other resin, it's dead simple to set up. There's profiles available inside Blueprint Studio. You simply select it and you put your models on the build plate, add supports if you need to, and then away you go. Everything is taken care of by the printer, so you don't have to worry about using different settings and trying to get it right, because the printer is very reliable in getting it done the first time, especially with the RS. And by the way, in addition to this new gloss glaze, HeyGears is also putting on a really big sale that's going to cover both their printers and their resins as well. So for example, starting today on March 5th, you'll be able to get a RS Turbo for $699. That's going to be the sales price, a full 30% off. Those sales also extend to the original RS that you can get for $599, and you can also get the original Reflex for $979. And there's also going to be some discounts on resin as well. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check out the link in the description. It'll take you over to HeyGears website. You'll get those discounts. You'll also get another cool discount from me as a thank you for supporting the channel. So here's how the process works with this gloss glaze. You print your models just like you normally would. You get them off of the build plate and you go through your normal cleaning procedures and then cure the models. Now, when it comes to transparent clear prints, it really doesn't matter what kind of resin you use. Once you go through the process of cleaning and drying and curing them, they're always going to come out looking cloudy. They're not going to look as clear as they were when they first came off of the build plate. That's just a natural occurrence of things, and this gloss glaze is meant to solve that problem without you having to work so much. So after curing it, which in this case was for a full 20 minutes inside of the HeyGears curing station. I know that seems like a long time, but hey, they know their product. So after all that time has went by, you can take the models out, and you may even notice that the models have a little bit of a yellowish tint to it. And normally that would be indicative of models that have been over cured, and that's what I thought too. But I learned that this is actually a natural occurrence with this type of resin. And what you need to do is give it about 48 hours or more, and then that yellow tint will start to fade, and then you'll be left with a more clear product that you can work with. Now, you can use this gloss glaze in a few different ways. The way that I used it is to simply take a paintbrush and just paint it right on the model. You can also use an airbrush if you like, but be aware that this gloss glaze is thick. And if you try to run it through an airbrush without thinning it somehow, you are going to clog that airbrush. And another way that you can use it is as a dip. You simply can take the model and dip it right into the glaze and just take it out again. But I prefer the brush on method. After you brushed everything on, you have to put it inside of a heated chamber at about 60 degrees Celsius for about 2.5 minutes. And this is where the HeyGears curing station comes in handy because it has a drying function. And then after it's dried for about 2.5 minutes, and that helps to level out the gloss glaze and evaporate some of the excess, you have to then cure it again for an additional 5 minutes. And once you do that, everything will be done. It will be safe to the touch. And I didn't do any kind of post-processing. I didn't do any sanding, anything like that. Just straight up paint it on and just see what the results were like. And I was pretty happy with this particular result. Now, another thing that I noticed with this PAF10 resin, and maybe this will be a deal breaker for you and maybe it won't, but it has like a purplish, bluish kind of a tint to it. And that kind of put me off a little bit because when I see a clear resin, I'm expecting it to be clear and not tinted. I thought that maybe that was an issue with it, but as it turns out, it's actually designed that way. HeyGears did design this resin with a little bit of a tint to it that shows up more prominently if you are printing models that are thicker and more solid. Take this ship right here. This is completely solid. It's put together with multiple pieces, and you can see it still has that sort of bluish tint going on with it. But at the same time, if you look at this model here, which is printed hollow from the same resin, it doesn't have that bluish tint to it. So it kind of just depends on what you're trying to print, and you'll be able to see how it's going to come out. Now, the same thing does not happen with the pat tin resin that you can use with the Reflex 2. It doesn't have any kind of a blue tint to it. It just comes out clear, and you have to do the same procedures with that in order to get the gloss glaze to work effectively. However, the original cure time for the pat tin resin is reduced from 20 minutes down to 7 minutes, so more in line with traditional curing. So at this point, I think that it's fair to say that I like this gloss glaze. There's not too many things not to like about it. You just need it to bring back the transparent nature of those resin prints and make it glossy and make it shiny and make it feel nice and smooth in the hand, and that's exactly what it does. Whether you need to spend $89 in order to achieve this is another question entirely. I do think that that is a pretty expensive price for this product in general, just coming at it from a regular consumer perspective. And in the 250 gram bottle, if you are only using it for small models, then you don't need a whole lot of it in order to completely cover the model that you are using. But you also have to keep in mind that in order to minimize waste and having to do it all over again, you are going to need a way to keep your models upright so that when you are curing them and when they are being heated, they're not toppling over and that gloss is rubbing off and then you get an uneven finish. But I also wanted to see what the difference would be when I use this gloss glaze versus a regular off-the-counter can of clear gloss spray paint that would cost about $5 or $6. So I took a couple of these models, and no, they're not the exact same model, but you know, they're close enough. They are both hollowed out, and for one of them, I used a can of clear gloss spray paint, and on the other one, I used the gloss glaze and went through all the steps, and here are the results. So you can see with the gloss glaze is definitely shinier. It's definitely stands out a little bit more, especially when the light hits it. And the feel is smoother compared to using the regular rattle can. However, in this case, I don't think that the difference is so huge that me personally would say that it would be worth spending the extra $85 just to achieve this particular result compared to what I got with the rattle can. It's also worth noting that with this gloss glaze, over time it becomes more resistant to UV aging, and it's not supposed to crack or turn yellow under normal conditions. So you kind of weigh that against what it's like using a regular rattle can, and maybe that'll help to inform your decision a little bit more. So, but unlike the rattle can, you can be a little bit more creative when you use the gloss glaze because you can add different colors to it. For example, I decided to mix in a little bit of mica powder and I used it to paint this little model here and see what kind of a difference that it would make. Now, this does take a little bit of trial and error in order to get the exact result that you want, because some tints can be a little bit too dark and it can look like you took some really thick opaque paint and just slathered it on, and it doesn't look like there's any transparency at all. But if you go with a more lighter touch, meaning that you add less pigment than you would more pigment, then you can still maintain a bit of that transparency while still having some color to give it that little extra zest. You can also use something like alcohol ink to provide a little bit of a tint. And what I did with this model is I used more alcohol ink the first time around and painted one side of the model, and you can see that it's looking kind of thick. But then I went back and just added more of the gloss glaze to the mix in order to thin out the color from the alcohol ink. So let's wrap this up and go over some pros and cons. The pros are this product works and it works well. I am happy to be able to take a model straight off of the build plate and just paint this on to make things really transparent. It works great if you have a model that it has a lot of different detail on it that can be very hard to really sand without obliterating those details, and this just helps to make it nice and clear without you having to do any more work. Now, if you do have a model that is smooth and doesn't have a lot of detail in it, like a glass window or something like that, then I do recommend taking the extra step and sanding that down, because while the gloss glaze will make it more transparent and more clear, it'll also highlight those imperfections from things like support marks, for example. So if you're working on things like that, then you definitely have to put in a little bit more work in order for it to look absolutely great. The con is the price is $89, and that price could be mitigated if you are using smaller models and only using a little bit of this gloss at the same time, because a little bit of this stuff will take you a long way. But if you're trying to use a lot of it at one time, that price can add up rather quickly. But if you find yourself interested in this, go ahead, check out the link in the description. It'll take you over to HeyGears website where you can pick it up. And also, HeyGears is going to be opening up an Amazon storefront as well. So you'll be able to go there and see what they have to offer and see if maybe you can get some better shipping times. I don't know if that's actually going to happen at this point, but it is something that's new. So it is worth keeping that in mind and checking it out from time to time. So that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. Till next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon.